es de un audio un poco raro. Eso es lo más que aprendí de mi... Eso es así, ¿no? Los bonitos así y después eso que se queda reengañado. Digamos que estás así, luego estás así, ¿no? De repente, pum, resulta que inmediatamente poner una carrera de otro lado y de ahí salir. Así es la verdadera práctica. Primero, un juego de risa no sería bueno sin la gráfica. Como que tengo. Te siento, me siento a veces. No estoy por abajo. Ven, yo lo reviso como. No presiona muchas veces. Me activa incluso los dos opciones. Porque realmente no se encuentran comoditos sí. Si nosotros eso lo ven y ver. Es una técnica que yo uso así. Aliado con highlights. Aquí vamos a continuar. Vamos a vencer a este oponente. Cargarlo. Vamos a hacer respawn. Cargado para y pues no me va a hacer así. Si solo se puede poner aquí en la cosa, aquí, poner el pared de atrás, todo así, y ya tengan todo. Pero eso sí, esto ya está abierto, pues ya puede fácilmente a veces hacer esto. Solo se disparan así, y no sé cómo así, ¿qué hago? Iba a venir para acá, pero tú ya tienes esto, ¿no? Pues puedes coger, hacer así, y bam. No puedo coger ahí, sí. Vamos, revisa. Y ahora siempre quitar el niño. Este es mi diferenciadito.
Hey, for the past year or so, I really have not trained my aim at all. I just did not have time to while grinding out vids. Then, about a month ago, I decided to increase my sense all the way up to 64 EDPI. Prior to that, I was on 48, 400 DPI, and 0.12 in game sense, and I then increased it up to 60% or 0.16 in game sense. I also went to 800 DPI, so I'm technically on 8% now. It's still 64 EDPI. Regardless, what I noticed was, outside of the fact my mechanics were faster, was that my aim was complete trash. I'm talking butt cheeks on a stick, nearly Zexor level, not quite that bad. It was not good though. Therefore, to get my aim back on track, I started aim training and slowly practicing on my aim. I used in-game aim trainers such as Scavix by Don Woozy, and I also used third-party aim trainers such as Kovacs.
Legarian, I've seen your aim. It obviously didn't work.
To be completely honest with you guys, my aim is still not my strong suit. I've definitely improved it over the past few weeks or so. It's just not at a pro level, hence why I'm making such a big deal out of it. If you have elite level aim, then you're going to win a lot more fight than players like me. In fact, you don't even need godlike piece control if your aim is good. You can just win every 50-50 fight, since that's kinda how 1v1s work in this meta. We can all blame the tac shotgun for that. And yes, I know I'm cracking jokes, but I am actually serious. Nobody can stop you if your aim is good. Have you ever noticed how pro players make fights look really easy? They can drop 20 kills in arena like it's nothing and make everyone look like a bot. The reason for that is not just because of their building and editing. Most creative warriors probably have better mechanics than that. What the creative warriors lack, however, and what the pros have, is consistently superior aim and way better fighting skills. Thus, to kind of put all of what I just said together, start training your aim. Your aim alone can easily carry you through fights. Please, boys and girls, do not be like me and neglect it. I spent so much time trying to improve my editing and my building, and I also forgot to practice what was really important, my close and long-range aim. I do my close-range shotgun aim. Feels bad, man. Overall, those are the main tips I have to help you become a better fighter. For a quick recap, I just did one. Make sure to optimize your piece control, practice your aim, and find out the key in arena. The more fights you get into, the better you will become. So again, just practice. Oh yeah, since I know people are going to ask us in the comments, there's not really one routine I can give you with a set amount of drills and a time limit that would be the best for everyone. That's just not how it works. Some of you need to spend way more time getting rated, just perfecting your mechanics, making sure you're not going to mess up any edits, and practicing actual piece control techniques. Others who have that stuff down already, I'm kind of at that point, you need to spend way more time in arena itself and practicing on other players. Do not just blindly follow my routine or someone else's routine, because a lot of the time it will not help you. You need to practice efficiently and do what works for you. I'm sorry, but you have to put the big work and stuff for this one and figure out what you gotta do. I can't help your end anymore. Additionally, if you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to every music coach Jerry, and you guys are truly the real MVP. I actually forgot to play any last video. Sorry for that. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later. Hey guys. In the past, I've covered numerous topics like this, such as how to perform better in cache cuts,
Esto
how to
tomando agua.
practice your game sets. What I haven't covered is the fundamental knowledge every pro player has regarding competitive networks that you do now. So things like storm surge, the different ways to deal with it, competitive terminology, basically anything that pro players utilize or are aware of on a daily basis that the average arena player is not. My hope is that by teaching you guys about these things, you can start placing higher in events like the FNCS and become pro players yourselves. So with that being said, let's get right on into it. To start off, I'll cover one of the more advanced subjects I just mentioned, Storm Surge. For those of you that don't watch too many tournaments, Storm Surge is a mechanic in Fortnite that helps thin out the number of players alive. It was initially added back in April 2019 as a way to encourage more aggressive gameplay and to help stabilize the in-game servers. The reason you probably never see it in your own games is that it only gets activated in stacked lobbies like those in later rounds of the FNCS. Be aware though, that does not mean Storm Surge is only a feature in those competitive tournaments. Storm Surge is actually a thing in every game mode, including normal public matches. It's just very rare for it to come into play outside of scrims and grand finals. The way it works more specifically is that Storm Surge will begin if there are more than 70 people left alive for the third zone, more than 50 people left alive for the fifth zone, and more than 30 people left alive for the seventh, as well as any zone after that. You'll actually see a notification for Storm Surge pop up called the Storm Surge warning. The zone before it gets activated. It'll tell you how much damage you are above or below the threshold, as well as remind you to do more damage. Then when the storm fully closes in and there are still too many people left alive, you'll see a different notification telling you Storm Surge has been activated. For example, say there's 82 people left alive as you're rotating to the second circle on the map. Because the storm has not started to close in yet, which you can tell from the green clock timer, there will not be a Storm Surge warning. The warning will only come up once the storm starts moving in, signified by the green storm timer, and then the active notification will only come up once that storm fully closes in and the third circle pops up. Anyone below the threshold at that point will be dealt 25 damage until they either get above or below the damage requirement, or until enough people die or it gets turned off. That damage, by the way, will be applied to their shield first, not directly to their health like the actual storm. Now, the most difficult thing about dealing with Storm Surge is trying to get above it early on. Whenever the threshold is derived from, if the damage done will be last person above the maximum number of players alive at that point. So not only will you not know what your requirement will be, as it's different every game, it's changing, but you also won't know how much damage you've done prior to that unless you keep track of it. One of the biggest tips for dealing with Storm Surge are to plan ahead and not to panic. Most top tier pros like Booga and Mr. Savage have set routes they take each game to look for Storm Surge. That could mean rotating over to a nearby POI, building on top of a big mountain, or in the case of Creo and Bucky, trading tags with the team that landed with you. That's a joke, by the way, you will get banned. Seriously though, you need to be aware of exactly the way Storm Surge works. Notice in this clip how Colossal is below the damage threshold, yet he's not freaking out or jumping into boxes like a maniac. Well, it's because he knows only one person has to die for Storm Surge to not get activated. Had he gone full psychopath trying to get one tag, he likely would have died or ruined his game by wasting all his mats and shield. So again, make sure you plan a route before the game starts to get tags, are cognizant of how many people need to get eliminated, and to watch analysts like Fallen W and Speedy Gonzalez who have in-depth videos and VOD reviews on this topic. Moving on, the next term I want to explain more in depth is the dead side. If you've ever watched pros play in scrims or hear their comps in tournaments, this is a word you've probably heard a lot. What it refers to is the empty or the least populated part of the circle. For those of you that have heard people say the congested side of zone, the dead side is the opposite, and as a rule of thumb, side. The dead side will have way less people in it, meaning less likely to get grief or to get smoke, and it's generally way easier to rotate through. The first thing you need to do though is to identify the congested side as well as the dead side of zone. We'll make early game circles, aka anything before the movie moves, and side to the top where the zone goes. Like in this case, the first zone pulls towards the southeast corner of the map, meaning the dead side of the circle is the battle by part of it. Everyone landed in that area has already rotated towards the center of the map, and that leaves most of it open. On the other hand, the congested side is the whole top and left side because that's where everyone is rotating in from. Another example is the third zone of this match that goes straight south. The dead side here is the bottom side since it's farthest away from the center of the map, and the congested side is the top half. This is one of the more extreme cases where the dead side is literally wide open and the congested side is insanely back, but that's why you want to do your best to avoid the congested side at all costs. As for the dead side of moving zones, luckily for you guys, it is much easier to figure out. Moving zones are the ones after the fifth circle that are completely in the storm. The reason why it's so much easier to identify the prior zones is that moving zones are extremely tiny. Everyone in the game is going to be rotating into the same little circles and stopping as soon as they get into them. That means the front half of the circle that's closest to the area in zone will be the congested side, and the half behind them will be the dead side. You see how this zone is completely in the storm? That means it's a moving zone. Therefore, because it's a moving zone, the front half closest to everyone will be the congested side, and the half behind it right here will be the dead side. The thing about moving zones though is reaching the dead side is extremely hard. Not only is it inside the storm, but it's also behind the front end of zone where everyone else will be holding you. That's why what many pros do is they'll use their launch pad for the first
Damián,
but rather than staying inside the congested
¿dónde
side,
estás?
they'll go into storm.
Allá. Emanuel. ¿Qué sí? Cámbiate.
Floppers until the safe zone reaches them. This allows them to safely reach the dead side without having to rotate about 20 feet in front of them. So even though it may be a little riskier sometimes, always do your best to identify and rotate to the dead side of the circle. Next up is one of my favorite competitive terms called white lining. White lining refers to following the white line on your map to get into zone. Pretty simple, right? Well, not exactly. The problem with white lining rotates is it leads you to the congested side of zone. Just think about it. Even though it's constantly moving, the original white line on your map is the shortest route to the edge of circle. That means if you're rotating south like in the example we saw before, you're going to end up following an identical white line as everyone else on the northern part of the map. Additionally, by the time you get into zone, everyone rotating with you will be there and you will not have a good time. Something I picked up from NRG's aid is to use the edge of the map to avoid white lining rotation. I believe Zayd is in the 6th or 7th game of the FNCS Solo Invitational, and as you can see, he takes the boat behind Switch to rotate, usually because he lands at Sweaty Sands, or just rotate on foot through the center of the map. For this specific zone, however, he knows white lining will lead him to the congested side, where everyone else will be sure, the lighthouse, and Pleasant Park will be. Thus, he takes the boat all the way down past Holly Hedges to the dead side and gets into circle past the debris. So the takeaway here is to always think about your rotation. Are you going to white line in to get in quick and establish a position closer to the center of zone? Are you going to stay near the edge of zone to get to the dead side? Or are you going to do a combination of both? These are things you have to ask yourself every single game in order to take your gameplay to the next level. Second to last term I want to discuss is second kite. No, that's not a play on words. The expression is second kite or second high, and what it refers to is the layered endgame scripts below high ground. In the past, I've always told you guys to not play second kite. You'll get focused by the team on high ground, and you'll be forced to waste all your mats protecting your head. As you can see from RBK Air's gameplay though, second kite is also the best position to take high ground. If the high ground team is not properly focusing you, you'll have a great opportunity to win the match. All you need to do is get ahead of zone, apply pressure back on yourself, and go for the right at the right time. So I know this one was one of the shorter ones. Making sense is pretty self-explanatory. I just want you guys to know you don't always have to drop down from second kite, because a lot of the time it can actually be more advantageous than you think. The final term, which is more of a reminder, is the half and half zone. This is the community's name for the fifth circle of the game that's half inside the storm and half inside the safe zone. Oh, and in case you're confused, viewers, half-and-half zones are not a thing in normal public matches. They are only in arena, tournaments, and competitive settings. Anyways, the half-and-half zone can single-handedly make or break your game. Unlike moving zones that are far out for everyone, half-and-half zones will be really close for some people and really far away for everyone else. This is why pro players will position themselves on the edge of the fourth zone and essentially take the gamble to get the fifth circle. If they had positioned at the center of the circle like they normally do for the first few zones, then they would never get the half-and-half zone and would always be forced to rotate. By playing edge, however, you have just as high of a chance to get near zone, an infinitely higher chance to get in zone, but also an equal chance to get bad zone. So whenever you find yourself positioning for the half-and-half circle, play the edge of it, but don't leave the center of the circle if you're already there. Overall, guys, that's everything you need to know to elevate your gameplay in competitive Fortnite. All the things I went over, I learned from top-tier pros and other coaches, and are things they use on a daily basis. As long as you actively practice them and try to incorporate them into your own gameplay, you will see improvements and better results. So, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone who's Otherwise, I'll see you guys next day.
Estrena el 2021 lleno de ventajas. Spark TV con Radio Magic y motor 1.2. Además, con entrada reducida desde $2021. Ven hoy a tu concesionario y estrena tu Chevrolet, siempre con más ventajas.
Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to talk about some tips that will help you out in solos. I got the idea for this video after watching FaZe's Coach Raceway in so epic qualifier this past weekend, and asking all of you on Twitter which of the key attributes you would rather have. After over 20,000 reviews, the majority of you guys said you prefer business game sense versus race mechanics. I'm not going to voice whether I agree or disagree with this because both of them are extremely important, but it's obvious we're watching our struggling with game sense and mechanics. Thus, what I did was I analyzed business entire coaching session this way, as well as some other coaching files, Luga and Canada, and highlighting the best takeaways from each match. These topics such as when to rotate, why the timing of the routes, and even how to stop getting tunnel vision in the late game. So without further ado, let's get right on into the video. To start off, I guess we'll go in chronological order with an example from the early game. As you see, this was landing in a strong spot that goes tension things outside of Weeping Woods when he accidentally takes damage from the laser. I don't have the audio for it because it's not working, but this actually gets pretty aggravated that he got hit. Why? Well, as Reddit user JRush then points out, it's not because he loses health. Bessel knows he can easily find a med kit when you're moving it fire to get back to full HP. The real reason he's so low is that he lost 10 seconds of time. 10 seconds is exactly how long it is to pop a med kit, which is 10 seconds he no longer has to lose for scout versus defense. That's why he's so dang. Now, why this is so interesting is that it shows how profound this game is, especially regarding supposed location. He must follow to avoid complicated engagements. Everything isn't jumping on the sacrifice. He has a clear plan in mind of how he's going to play out the early game, what his ideal loadout should be to get the maximum amount of kills, and most importantly, when exactly he needs to get those things by. If he's just 5 seconds off the specific time and gives himself a mistake, then he's at risk of losing his entire match. I don't know about you guys, but that's something I rarely ever think about in arena or scrims. Most of the time, I'm just going through the motions and scrambling to find and far. What I just realized, though, is that spending extra time trying to loot, therefore causing you to get laser, is way worse than having not as good of an AR or max. You can always loot over after your base stuff in center circle. That's why you'll often see Bizzle skip over floor loot spawns or not farm nearby objects on his zone. It's not that he was distracted by Twitch because he should provide the box, and as a result, I just got so if it hasn't been made, the takeaways are as follows. First, make sure to wear all the ladies' spots. on board with the children guy and this entire qualifying is getting approached. But I think it's important to note this interpretation of the play. Anyways, Innocence is in a normal sized lobby, about 20 people or so. So it's deciding on how to rotate. He actually asked you if you should be Team says no, so he decides to build the way here with water. As that's happening, however, he's launching this all and begging Innocence to use his launch pad. When asked why, he basically agreed that so he's one outside. This is because it's the initial belief zone, aka the life for it, and it has the biggest zone. Therefore, being states to rotate the launch pad. Notice how Innocence started the entire play with 700 maps, yet after this is launch pad the second moving zone, one zone lanes, yet only 100. Had he just launch pad the first moving zone like he said, he could have boxed up and bumped the same distance on foot for the second rotation, like half that amount of map. Instead, he made the wrong decision and was forced to get arrested to replace the maps, ultimately resulting in death. Get to the big takeaways, I just want to show this other clip I saw on Lucas' stream just a few minutes after the Innocence from Asian Jeff. Asian Jeff, who's a pretty well-known creator player, is getting coached by the same exact position as Innocence. He has a launch pad, he has a rotator, and it's actually the right call to launch pad the first moving, and Asian Jeff ends up not wasting all of his match. What I want to focus on is what happens for the second moving zone. It's pretty far away from him, and he decides to go in the middle of the zone in order to get him. He protects himself reasonably well, and since he's within everyone else's line of sight, he ends up getting sprayed to death. What he does instead, as Logan pointed out, is moving southwest behind him, already there. Everyone on that side was moving on their feet and rotating in the same direction Bogus said to. All Asian Jeff needed to do was follow them in while protecting his back. However, because he disregarded those he reaching quickly and dying. So for the takeaways, first, let's try to use your launch pad area for the first moving zone. Any zone after that is way too small and dangerous to be launch padding, plus you won't have enough mass to be wasted them all for beating on the foot. If you do end up launch padding and have a lot of children, so do not waste them for no reason. Or position for one zone does not mean not be one position for the next one. Simply chill out, plan to save this most massive location, and do your best to stick to it. Do not have any mechanics to carry you out of bad rotates, because even face way, and I'll build the entire server spraying at it. For the next example, and as I just said, we're going to analyze space when it's way pressure below he's got about 400 max, a ridiculous amount of space. It's basically the best spot to win the game. All he's got to do is survive. Unfortunately for Sway though, his creative instincts kick in, and he drops down to try and rack up the remaining players. He does almost kill one of them, but gets deleted off the face of the earth by someone in zone with a jump gun. RIP to the kills he missed out on, and RIP to the extra points from the win. Outside of Sway dropping down from high ground, the big mistake he made was being away from the people inside the storm. See, as he was starting to get aggressive, this kept telling me there were still 6 other people alive. Sway ignored it because he only saw 2 other people in zone, and due to the remaining players all back dead. This, on the other hand, situation hundreds, if not thousands of times. A single players were and as we just saw, he was right. But what if those players were actually dead and Sway won the game? Do you think it then would have been a good? He said no, because he would not have. So, see a poorly made decision paid off, and only because he did not see something bad happening, will they start to think it was the right one? If you're trying to be as consistent as Mr. Savage, that is the wrong mindset you have. Simply because a play was so good does not mean you should have made it in the first place. Constantly thinking about the worst outcome that could have happened, and make a decision based around that happening. Sway did not agree with that as he forgot about it. And if it's included in wrong, and to take for that example, since I just said it, but I want the message is to make all the decisions based on the first possible outcomes, aka play safe, to wrap the game set. guys' advice on told me that it hasn't really helped. One decent configuration for game sets that I personally love using is the predict how to personally play out of the map. To do that, go to the config tab, look at the cache events, and click on whichever program you want to watch. Then hit the magic button. Choose from any games to play out. This will put you directly to their respective. You can choose to watch the gameplay and watch the battle map option. I'm not sure this is a feature as it is remember in every regardless, it's also see all the zones of the map as well as the exact rotation path so spectating went. Another thing I'll do is you can accomplish within the same exact play, see my map button and predict how the congestion for each zone will be distributed. For example, skip ahead to the third or fourth zone and we make some direction of the battle bus. I'll guess which side of the zone will have the most minutes. This way you gain position myself in order to avoid other players and have easier rotate. Lastly, and not using different places, I'll ask questions when I'm in a pro player chat, essentially getting them to talk about the thought process. Don't forget to break down questions for 2 minutes in your favorite streamers to explain your decision making. The more knowledge you have, the more informed your own decision will be, and the smarter you will become as a Fortnite player. Guys, those are the most important game sense tips I have for Chapter 2, Season 2. To recap, remember to plan and adjust your early game movement, and find the biggest areas your most effect in order to win first. Remember to try to look if you just have to, and make sure you're aware of what's happening, then look at the game plan around it. On top of that, the game sense, specific rotations and congestion levels, and like I just said before, your decision making. So if you guys learn something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone. Jeremy, remember I'm hosting a giant giveaway. All the videos in this video on how to get this. Otherwise, that's it for me.
Hey, so I think it's pretty good on the show. Fortnite is free on 21 once per account.
Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to talk about how to successfully get the key and beat the rest. As I'm sure you all know by now, W key is arguably the most effective playstyle in Fortnite Chapter 2. It will help you get more points in the game, have to be fun, like passive. The thing about W key though is that it's good at. If it was, then you wouldn't be watching this video. I thought the same exact thing until I sat down and analyzed the successful W keys in the game. I studied their mechanics, decision-making, settings. I literally looked at everything what separates them from everyone else. After numerous days of following views and going back to my notes, I've come up with a solid list of things that I know. So without further ado, let's get right on it. Start off, I want to address a big misconception in the no, it's not that they're all on the children, that they're all in your family. It's the perception that they're all very idiots who push their lives for no reason. Like this making sure they're not enemies. It is not the case for the best one. It's like an army and optimal extremely intelligent players. They know how to think, what it means, and make optimal edits and fights. Just because they play aggressively, not mean they are stupid. Don't know. Let's take a look at this clip of Kiriachi to help prove my point. Kiriachi went out of bounds, starts getting pushed by an absolute psychopath. Enough, he does some good damage, establishes high ground in the fight. Once more, however, the psycho opponent builds up, gets destroyed by 2 shotgun shots, and boxes up to a kill. This is when Kiriachi becomes the W keyer, and where I want you guys to pay attention. Notice how as Kiriachi crushes his opponent's wall, he not only moves to the left for a right-hand peek, but he also builds a wall and edits the top right corner of it for more protection. That's how safely Kiriachi and other top-tier W keyers play out fights. And yes, the ending of the clip is kind of ironic since Kiriachi goes full force into his opponent's box, but my point still stands. So the takeaway here is to realize W keying is not just about running into 1x1s without any thought. If you want to be a successful W keyer, you have to learn how to reach your opponent's split safely behind your own. In the time you check just hold F1 to W or your right over and left stick. Put yourself in a 50-50 engagement with your opponent, which you never want to. Moving on to my next tip for playing Resident we have confidence. In case you guys missed it, last weekend with the overqualified CS Invitational Solo Tournament that ends in a few weeks, there were over 20,000 people alone competing at the end of each server, yet worth them qualified for the next round. One of those few people was the man on your screen named Flawless. Flawless went into this match with only one game left and less than 100 points under his belt. Regardless, he did the unthinkable by dropping a 30 bomb. No, you are not hearing things. The king of WP everyone could lay his eyes on, and ended the match with 30 kills, bringing him up to 5th place of the day. Now, what's the thing about having had a good drum? I was like that. I can't really mind if it's pure confidence. Throughout his entire WP stage, Flawless never hesitated to take a fight. The king is so confident in himself that he would place a foot in all the boxes he jumped in to make sure the other player could not escape. That's obviously something I did not just talked about, but I do think it goes to show how important being confident is. Really quickly, I want you guys to think back to all the types of games with one good push. It could have been after you got lip service back, or it could have been receiving no reason at all. Do you remember what got was through your head? Probably nothing else except getting the heck out of that situation alive. What that's called is your physiological reaction. Your fight causes sweat, shame, vision. Basically, everything you don't want to happen in a normal Fortnite not stop it from happening. It's a completely normal reaction to the idea of having potentially your 20. So what I'm trying to say is that as a W tier, you want your opponent to feel that sense of panic themselves. That means constantly structural them, as well as not letting them aim back at confidence or any sort of outcome. On top of that, it means that you have to be aggressive and fight. Many people forget this. They push someone and play defensively inside the box since they can never make the first move.
But Jarian, how can I push people if they push me first?
That's a really good question, and as NRG Unknown shows here, it's all about acting confident. Even if Unknown loses the group battle, he still builds up to his opponent. Additionally, even though he's taking a minute of heal, he still applies relentless pressure on his opponent as if he were full HP, and that's completing the fight. Thus, the takeaway is to be more aggressive, and even start playing confidently by taking control of the competition and forcing your opponent into a bad spot. The following tip for WP is to make sure you do it at the right time. Remember all the pros we talked about before that don't just want to subject into their opponent's boxes? Well, the same concept applies for choosing who and when to fight. Most top-tier W tiers don't just randomly push people towards a bunch of HP. Moreover, they push them with a multiplied value, and they don't continue to WP in the late game. For example, in this clip, we see Wolfie's doing what he usually does by finding someone to fight. Then, after basing up near zone, Wolfie sees his target box up right above him. Like a madman, Wolfie's immediately heavy snipes the guy's wall and attempts to get into his box. The guy edits out, Wolfie's misses his shot, and very surprisingly, Wolfie's decides to disengage. I don't know about you guys, but if I had that insane loadout and was already that deep in, I'm not sure if I would have been able to control myself. The reason Wolfie's can is he knows continuing that fight could ruin his entire game. The storm was coming in, he was on the edge of zone with the entire lobby looking at him, and he was at a shield disadvantage. Even if he somehow went back into the storm and won the fight, he would have gotten focused by the rest of the server while inside a 5 damage per second zone. Had it been the first or second circle with not that many people around him, sure, it would have been a different story. The fact of the matter is, it was 4th zone with 50 people left alive, and it was not the right time to push. So the takeaway here is to remember to WP with a purpose. If you're already stacked on loot and you have a great position in zone, there's really no need to WP. This is especially the case if you're in a stacked late game lobby because you'll get third-partied in every fight. Then vice versa, if you do desperately need an impact frag or you want to get more points in a cup game, do not just push someone you have no info on. You at least want to tag them and rationalize why you're pushing them, because anytime you do not, you're putting yourself in position to ruin your entire match. My second to last point of discussion with becoming a better W tier is one that will probably generate a lot lot of arguing down below. If you can't guess what it is by that comment, it's your aim. When it comes to W keying in Chapter 2 Season 2, aim is the most important skill you have. It's more important than building for piece control, it's more important than editing for outplays, it's even more important than game sense most of the time. This is why when you look at all the top tier W keyers, a ton of them happen to play on controller. And before I say anything else, become a discussion on aim assist. I think we can all agree it's very strong on PC, and because of that, I think it's also logical to say it gives controller players an advantage when it comes to W keying. They know whenever they jump in boxes, they'll hit way more shots than a keyboard and mouse player. Therefore, they're way more comfortable in close range situations, meaning they're going to be more confident. That, alongside your aim, is something a ton of players overlook when it comes to why they're not that good at W keying. They know their aim is not up to par, and as a result, aren't confident to take 50-50 fights. Controller players, on the other hand, are, and it's why way more of them have aggressive playstyles. So the takeaway is not to switch to controller like Epic Whale did, it's to make sure you train your aim. Don't let aim assist be the reason you don't want to practice. There's nothing you can do about that. What there is something you have control over though is your aim, which is why you should be improving it every single day. Now, as far as how you should be improving your aim, I think you guys know Resolution. If you're on PC, it's to use third-party aim trainers like Kovacs, and if you're on console or you don't want to spend money, it's to use in-game creative aim trainers like Scavix. Both of them will help you out a lot and improve your close-range aim. The real topic I think you guys are all curious about though, which will also be the way I'll end the video, is how you can personally practice the W key. The absolute worst thing you can do is play in scrims. Have you ever wondered why a lot of mid-tier players do well in endgames, but cannot consistently make it there? The answer is because they don't practice fighting. All they practice are stacked late games and rotations. That's not to say practicing those things are bad, because they do help out a lot. They just do not help you improve at W key or making it out of a qualifier. Therefore, my advice, straight thinking of W keying itself, NRG unknown, is to get into as many fights as you possibly can. That means playing arena and pushing every person you see, grinding public match solos and solo squads with the same goal, as well as doing realistic 1v1s. All you want is experience fighting players of different skill levels, and that's what all of these practice methods will help you do. Lastly, I really don't think it matters how you divide up your time for these scenarios. They all have different trade-offs, like arena having longer queue times, pubs having less players, and realistic 1v1s not being on the actual map. So practice with them however you like, just make sure you're not spending your time sitting around doing nothing. Overall guys, that's my ultimate guide to W keying and playing more aggressive. To sum it up, make sure you play out engagements intelligently by holding angles and taking optimal aims. Be confident to make your opponent nervous. Only take good fights you know you can win, and prioritize improving your aim over everything else. On top of that, to get better at W keying, go into arena, solo squads, or hype nights, and push absolutely everyone you see. The more fights you get into, the better you'll be at W keying and playing aggressively. So, if you guys enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone who's code Jeremy. The 600k subscriber giveaway has officially ended. I hope you guys all got a chance to enter. Advanced Club will be selecting the winner soon and will let me know, so please be patient. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.
One in 7 children does not have enough food to lead a healthy and active life.
¿En serio?
Okay, so for this video, I'm going to talk about how you can improve at W keying. W keying is one of the hardest yet most fun aspects of playing Fortnite. It basically involves you pushing all your opponents and racking up a ton of eliminations. The thing is, W keying is a lot harder than it looks. Only top tier pros can steamroll arena and work the competitive teams. Thus, in order to hopefully get to that level one day, we need some tips and tricks to W key like a pro. Everything I'm going to be sharing here today, I learned from the best fighters in the world. These include godlike EU pros such as Fadil, Noah Rayleigh, Tayson, and Rezane. If you don't know who those guys are, by the way, I'm just disappointed in you. No, but for real, this video should help you out a lot. So I hope you're all excited. I also hope you don't use any of these techniques against me. That would be fun. Without further ado though, let's get right on into it. Arguably the most important aspect of W King successfully is constantly applying pressure. Without applying pressure, W King would just not be possible. Your opponent would simply sit in a 1x1, heal up to full HP, and not let you get the elimination. Sounds pretty boring, right? Well, that's because it would be. The reason why W King is so much fun is because you're continuously making your opponent uncomfortable. You're dropping down on their walls, spraying out their builds, jumping in their boxes. You're doing whatever you can to make sure they do not heal up and do not escape their sight. Now, most of you guys who are decent or who have just watched my videos before, you guys already know that stuff. Whether you instinctively apply pressure or you know you're doing it, you have a good understanding of the basics. Or do you? I thought the same exact thing until I went ahead and VOD reviewed the 4 pros I mentioned before. Focused EU main units, namely Tayson, Deal, and Noah, they take applied pressure to a whole other level. You see, as they pickaxe their opponent's wall and try to get into their 1x1, they almost always try to establish piece control through their opponent's builds. Yes, you saw and heard that correctly. They consistently place their own ramps and cones through their opponent's already built walls. If you guys have been following competitive Fortnite for a while, you know this isn't that new. These ramp and cone exploits have actually been in the game for about a year or two now. I covered them in my original Advanced Tips and Tricks videos. Throwback to that. Regardless, what's new and why I'm making such a big deal out of it is just how consistent and quick these EU pros have gotten at it. Like, in this clip right here, I can almost guarantee you did not see Noah Rayleigh place that ramp in his opponent's box. I'll even slow it down to show you guys that I'm not lying. That metal ramp that was already built at the end of the clip, that was Noah Rayleigh's ramp that he placed as he pressured his opponent's wall. He slid that thing here with no hesitation. And speaking of Noah Rayleigh, Noah combines this trick with one of my other favorite techniques, piece control. Not only will Noah run up to your wall and get a cone or ramp in your box first try, but he'll also box up the immediate area next to you. The man will box you like a fish no matter what. To me, I think this is much safer way compared to what Deal or Tayson do. They'll get the ramp or cone in your box and then will either run to the side and wait for you to edit out, easily win the 50-50 aim fight, or they'll simply try to zero ping your wall while you're not paying attention. You're probably wondering how a ramp is in your box, and then attempt to double edit both for an easy elimination. The only question that remains now is how the heck do they do it so consistently? I got you covered. I've been testing a few different methods for this ramp phase. First I tried Noah Rayleigh's method, second I tried Tayson's method, I even kind of tried my own, and I do believe I found the best way to do it. How it works is you want to have a ramp or cone out. You do not need a cone beneath you, but I'm going to put one there. You want to hold down your left click so you're placing it. It's obviously not going to place because we haven't done the trick yet. You see also, I'm turbo building. Now I gotta break this stuff. But as you're holding it down, you're gonna crouch, look left and down like this, and then you're gonna uncrouch and flick to the right. I forgot to mention, I'm currently editing this video. You also want to hold W and move forward as you do this stuff. Hold W too. So again, I'm gonna look down, flick up, and you can see it plays through it. That was first try. Here's with no cone beneath me. Look down to my side, flick up, and there it is. Let's see how fast I can do it. There we go. I'm fully boxed to prove to you guys. There are no cheats here. Just a simple little Jarian exploit. It's so beautiful. That's kind of like a mix between the Noah and my method. I've seen Tayson by just run your wall and then get it in like that. I think he has some sort of little spot he looks for. I didn't even have to look to the right. Just grab it. I don't know. I gotta flip your mouse. It's really consistent. It also shows. That's oh, and that reminds me. That shows no piece control as well. So it's like a Noah basically crush the ball, go close to it, and then look to the side and piece that out. All this opponent is just random space. It's a mechanic. Try to edit out and move. I'm gonna try to do there we go. Oh wow, easy for the big Jerry. I mean, all there's really left to say is that you kind of got to practice this. You're not going to get as good as the big Jerry Bear at first. I'm telling you guys though, once you get consistent at it, once you're like the EU pros who do it first try, you can just do it in the middle of fights. It's so sick. Just please do not crouch spamming like you come out. Not yet. I'm just gonna edit over it on Technically, though, you're gonna be spamming your ramp anyway, so even if they do end up, they're gonna have a ramp in the game. Just such a god strat. For trying to do it. I saw it, the new God W King strat. Your boy Jerry has discovered the EU Pro meta. Alright, so that was the first new / advanced way of pressuring your opponent. It's not the only one, though. Another really useful trick to get your own build to your opponent's fully built box is by taking advantage of your crosshair position. Watch how quickly the field looks at the game. It doesn't have to break the wall or do anything else, and you somehow just get into the goal one by one. Guess what? That was all because of the crosshair placement. The field didn't have to do much to exploit. He simply flips his crosshair perfectly and established his control.
But Jerry, how do you do this?
I thought you'd never ask. I'm pretty sure I showed how to do this in my last advanced tutorials video. Go watch that if you haven't already. All you do is find your crosshair right beneath the bottom of their floor. So this is where the floor is. I'm going to take my cone out and put my crosshair right below. I don't want to go too far.
I'm in the pink
See,
area.
it's going to go there. If I go too high up, it's going to place here. Any structure, it does not have to be one level off the ground. It's a little easier that way, but crosshair placement should be now in his box. I got some piece control through his builds. The trick that Vizio does on top of this, I didn't show this last time, is whenever he's in front of his opponent's wall and he wants to use this trick, not try to use the crouch trick. I'm just too good at it, bro. Vizio will end up his floor with two front tiles like this. And you can see that opens up the entire floor so I can just keep my crosshair, get that cone right in there. Wondering why he does this, it's kind of obvious. The only time this crosshair placement trick does not work is if this floor is covered, it's covered by a wall. It doesn't work.
Mi peso no era.
And I'm getting it.
Ese vato se está acercando. No, ¿qué va a hacer? hacer. Ah, vou estar no contigo se queres. Sim. Hola, amigo. XD.
Ríos, un gran pollito.
No molestes.
And it also does not work if there is a floor. The good thing is you could just replace that floor with your own. Edit it up like I showed, crosshair perfectly. Oh my gosh, that's so busted. Before you say anything, I already know you're gonna ask, who would just let you sit there and edit your floor up without trying to take a shot at you, right? They don't even need to place this code. They would just open, boom. Well, What Vidal also does, trick number like 3 in this tiny little crosshair placement strat, is he will make this edit and he'll phase through a code as he does it. Look at this. That way he can still place his code in. He can obtain piece control through your wall, and when his opponent tries to get piece control on him or ramp over him or really do anything, he can just catch him off guard by phasing through. I got a code in your box. I'm invisible. Vidal is truly a god. So say you're on this guy's wall, but you can't take it. He's got 0 ping like me. Just edit the floor, make sure your crosshair's good, and you're chilling. You do this thing crazy fast. I'll do it with wood. Boom, elevate. Third angle with the additional code. Boom, too easy. W key god. Builds in your opponent's box. You can't even tell me that's not meta. By the way, here's some proof without your opponent being a level up. This man is boxed up outside Holly on a hill in the grass. All I gotta do is look down, and that code is in there. Let's go really deep. I placed a code all the way down there. There's really no place it doesn't work as long as there's not a wall. Every angle, every time, this trick works. Now drop a like. Moving on from applying pressure, the second thing I picked up with the gaudy UW here. Is your crosshair and peaks. In addition to applying your own pressure, you need to be able to escape pressure yourself. Nobody good at Fortnite is just gonna let them box you up like a fish. They're gonna try to counter your piece control and or try to get a trade-off with some damage. Something I noticed Tayson does really well during fights is he'll strafe left immediately after he edits. What this does is it essentially gives him a right-hand peek by itself. He uses his own momentum to put himself in a better position for the peek. And this doesn't even need to be after an edit. A lot of the time, Tayson will be going for a shot or just standing in front of his opponent's wall, and he'll just completely juke out his opponent's shots. The kid straight up looks like he's in the Matrix. This trick, or I guess skill, is something I really only see from the top EU fighters. I'm talking guys like Pietro, Noah Rayleigh. They know how to perfectly utilize their movement to stay on the offensive while W keying. Here's how I would practice. I believe Destiny's Jesus calls this strat movement acceleration. You essentially just use your movement, especially your momentum, as you make edits. And it makes you a way harder target to hit. So compare a normal peanut butter edit, you just making it, jumping up, trying to reset. Any half-decent player is just gonna bop you. What you'd much rather do is use your movements. Start to the right, straight left, all about strafing. And that's what these EU gods are so good at. The way I would practice this, and what I have been doing, is anytime you make an edit, usually a right-hand peek edit like this one, just move to the left. You can crouch, dip down to the side, and then just pop right back up for the shot. Nothing crazy, you just want to get into the habit of using your momentum and making yourself a much harder target to hit. It's such an important yet overlooked skill, at least not to the Europeans. You can just window edits. How many of you guys make a window edit and then slowly move over? Oh, look at me. Hell no. That's not how we do it here. What if you're running using W? You're not just strafing by hitting D going to the right. That is slow. I'm only hitting D right now. It's so slow. With that movement itself, though, so much better. Charge shotgun never shoots. So yeah, let's get back to the other stuff. Yeah. Another really cool trick this is this crazy top row edit peek he does. I'm not kidding when I say Noah really uses this just as much, or even more than the classic right-hand peanut butter peek. What works is whenever he has his opponent in front of him, he will edit the top row small, crouch down as he makes the edit. Then once the edit goes through, he'll pop back up and surprise his opponent with a shot in the mouth. I can practice it. I gotta work on my movement. I'm not kidding, it is insane. Nobody expects it, so if you're looking for a guy...
Isso aí, Manuel, mais pena.
gente, aquí voy a terminar el live stream.